Finally, a pro wrestling discussion show that's civil and constructive, introspective and informative. Mr. Clean and Springsteen, the Bald and the Beautiful, Final Bell Media and the Juice Box present Drew and Juice.
All right, everybody. I am Andrew Bedell. That is Yin's Juice Springsteen. We are live here for Drew and Juice, episode 16. That is the one, the only Curtis Cole. His song Blurry. I want to thank him for allowing me to use it. Thank you, Curtis. Juice, what's good? I like your Yin's sunglasses.
Yeah, WWE night at PNC Park this past Saturday. A rousing time. Every single player, they made some sort of wrestling reference. They played the Undertaker's theme or the gong when it was like a tough situation in the game. I really enjoyed that they utilized everything. They had Corey Graves throwing out the first pitch. So success in my book. A lot of WWE fans there. So
that's big. WWE fans being anywhere these days seems to be the norm. I am, again, Andrew Bedell. That is Juice Springsteen. We're going to bring you episode 16 live here of Drew and Juice. There's a lot that happened this past week. We are coming off Backlash, which John Cena defeated Randy Orton. We saw the debut of Jeff Cobb. We had a Dynamite episode last night, which I will give my review on. And there's been a lot of news. Will's been in the news. People still want to talk about ratings, which I'll never understand why. That's Will Ospreay's in the news. And some other people. But yeah, I just don't understand the ratings discourse. Move on. Do something different with your life. Go enjoy the beach. Go enjoy your loved ones. I don't know what else to tell you, but if you don't have a beach, go swim in a lake. I don't know what to tell you. Juice? What do you want to talk about, my man?
Well, yeah, let's, with that real quick, just ratings in general. Like we've said it, I don't know how many times. You specifically have been like, kind of leading the charge on, like ratings do matter, if you run the company and that matters to you and your bottom line and like getting a deal done and this and that. Or, 25 years ago when it was one-on-one. If you're the one, there's so many other metrics to go by now.
Yeah, if you're the one buying media rights, or you're the one selling your media rights, or you are an advertiser, then yes, rating. And if you're a wrestler, okay, ratings would matter. Segment by segment, quarter by quarter, whatever. But if you're a fan, I guess for me, it's just something you could put up a W or an L on, and I'll never understand it because all of you look like losers. I'm just saying. Aren't
we all losers at the end of the day? We all love pro wrestling. Let's be real here. Let's not. Beat around the bush. I'm
not saying if you want to talk about it, but people who like take it as a hey, we finally got one, or like hey, they, whatever, 99 days without a whatever. It's just dumb. It's just dumb.
Oh man. So Drew, let's kick this off. We've got a bunch of different topics, but you know me, and now this will be week 3 of rapid fire. If you want to close the show with that, I got a bevy of interesting topics to kind of.
I love me a good bevy.
That's right. What do you, any good bevy tonight?
I don't know. This is just water with lemon in an Onnit cup. Let me some on it. There you go. Let me some on it. They're good people. Aubrey Marcus used to own it entirely. He's a good person as well. But I digress.
You want to kick off with some Dynamite? I want to hear your thoughts. This has been fun now. This will be a couple weeks in a row where you're like, you know what? Normally I give you what I felt about the show immediately after. But now I kind of let it marinate a little bit. I like hearing your thoughts first. So
let's do that. Let's do that.
Or beach blast, if you so eloquently put it last week.
That's right. First of all, there was no beach. I didn't see any sand. I saw nothing, and whatever. That's fine. I'm not one who like really harps onto like the themes or whatever. But if you're gonna do a theme show, I mean, maybe have a bomb tree or two. I don't know. Anyways,
something.
Yeah. Anyways, I used to love when WCW would put the sand and the lifeguard chairs and all that other stuff. But anyways, I thought the show was good. The tag match that opened the show. I mean, listen, AEW doesn't have wrestlers that can't wrestle. Truthfully, they don't. Everybody on that roster is pretty much a really good wrestler. But at the end of the day, what are people going to be measured on? Whether or not you had 12 to
ratings,
12 to 25 5-star Dave Meltzer matches or if you drew 500,000 people over a week span somewhere. That's the business of the wrestling business. But I will say to you, the tag match was very good. I actually dug the Tony Storm stuff. I dug the Mercedes Moné stuff there along with Jamie Hayter. I thought the episode flowed very good. I thought the MJF stuff was good as well with the Hurt Syndicate. I do think there's a caveat in the contract signing, which will be interesting. So I'm here for that.
I like that they even have the wherewithal to be like, all right, this is what this week is. Next week, we're doing the contract signing.
Right.
You're going to tune in next week.
So there's something obviously that is going to be in that contract. I don't know what it's going to be. My guess would be that MJF's got to beat Bob, that being Big Bobby Lashley, to get in the Hurt Syndicate and stay in the Hurt Syndicate because supposedly he's in. So we'll have to wait and see.
Right.
And, the main event, because I posted it on social media, I posted on X, I said it was predictable, and it is. And a lot of people gave me a lot of grief for it because they're like, this guy. First of all, I am a very positive AEW watcher and consumer. I'm also a positive WWE watcher and consumer. But when something is something, I'm going to say it. And Moxley beating Swerve, Copeland before this, those were two matches that you were kind of like, well, this could go either way. And they didn't. They went Mox's way. So with that being said, going into this match, I knew dollars to donuts. Jon Moxley was retaining. How they did it was kind of the same shit they've always done. But I did like the debut, and I did like that they set up the potential anarchy in the arena match. Now, I will say this. The participants who have yet to been announced, but we can kind of draw our own conclusions here, are very interesting if you look at it. But again, I'm a big fan of the debut. I think this man, who we'll talk about here in the next couple minutes, has a very bright future. He's big. He's bad. He's bald, kind of. And
let's not get crazy here trying to jump on that train. We all know how you love to be fellow Mr. Clean, but Gabe Kidd is his own man.
Yeah, but I will say that I think Gabe has a bright future in AEW. I think he has a bright future in AEW or wherever he decides.
Pro wrestling in general, for sure. He's been on a tear.
But, I think he's got the look. He's got the presence, and we'll have to see what AEW does with him. But I'm looking forward to it. And again, I like I said, credit where credit is due. I thought the main event came off very, very well. And even though it was predictable, which a lot of most television matches for the title are, this isn't 99 where they're flipping championships or 98 for ratings. So I thought Dynamite was solid, but again, I do think that they, being AEW, made it a point to make sure that Top Flight was not buried after what the hell happened last week, which was interesting.
Especially on commentary. We just would have let you know that they were attacked from behind. Therefore, they had no real chance to stop MJF, even though it was 2-on-1. Let us make sure you know exactly how we want it to come off. I heard that too, Drew. I was like, hey, listen to Drew. Is Drew tapped in? What's happening? Is he really on the pay? Drew paid out. There he is again.
Nope. I know. Somebody actually tagged me in something which I wanted to retweet very badly because I thought it was just hysterical.
Oh, you don't repost anything.
Because it was like Drew is on WWE's payroll. Drew's on AEW's payroll. You guys need to make up your minds. And I want to be like, listen, I'm the only guy who's cashing checks from both companies, brother, at the same time, which is a joke. And that's why I was like, you know what? People won't understand this because a lot of people have two brain cells rattling around in their head.
Here's the thing, though, Drew. They believe it anyway for real. So you might as well just lean into it.
I know. But listen, I don't think they're listening to me or us or anybody in general. I just think that at the end of the day, that's what it came off like. They buried Top Flight, and I love those boys. So for me, it was good to see that, but it was almost like, yeah, we kind of botched this, so let's fix this.
Yeah. So in general, I wanted to tap on a couple of things that happened during Dynamite. So are you happy now? We're 10 days away from Double or Nothing. Last week I posed I don't know, man. They only got the finals of these tournaments set in stone. Pay-per-view in a couple of weeks, and they're going to have 7 to 9 matches on there. Do you feel like they're going to rush it? Now we've got 4 official matches with Anarchy in the Arena definitely looming. So we're really having the card come to fruition. I like that they kind of put the foot on the gas there. And
Tony Storm has an opponent.
Yeah, we got Tony Storm with an opponent now. Mina.
Yep.
Or no, yeah.
Yeah, with 2 different themes. Thank God they went back to the other one, because the first one I was like, what are we doing here? And Tony was I thought that was awesome that Tony interacted with that fan online. He was like, yeah, I flipped it because you guys were complaining about it, which was interesting. Again, he
loves communicating with the fans.
It's going to lead to people believing that everything that they type online and go to X that Tony's going to see, which is and they have a little bit of power, which is a slippery slope. But I will say this, Double or Nothing is seeming to come together. The ticket sales have gotten better. I know technically it holds, 18,000. They're not going to be set up for that. I think they'll get anywhere from 9 to 10 come show day. And I think that's a good pay-per-view crowd. And I'm looking forward to Double or Nothing because it's something for me to do after I get off the lake and we watch it on Sunday night. So
I think I'll be on a lake Sunday afternoon doing a little
there you go.
Fishing action.
You're going to fish? All right, good for you.
Yeah, look at me. I wanted to piggyback off what you said there where, they might get 9 or 10,000 in that venue. And some hearing that will go, wow, they could get 18, but 9 or 10,000. What the hell? Meanwhile, Kyle Fletcher gets interviewed this week and says the smaller, intimate venues that you've talked about, that I've talked about, that we've stood on business for, as this is something that's smart. I'd rather see 9,000 packed or 4,000 packed in a tight arena than 9,000 in an 18,000. And Kyle says that it reignited the wrestlers' passion to kind of go out there and kill it for that smaller, more intimate crowd. So looks like they were right in thinking maybe smaller, less is more. Accentuate the positives. Let's pack out a smaller building and give them a hell of a show live and on TV. So I think it's a good idea, Drew. What say you, being the ticket guy that you are?
Well, I'm going to say this. I think Kyle Fletcher is doing some fantastic PR, which is what his job is to do when you're signed to an AEW contract. I think Kyle is going to be a bona fide superstar. I do believe that, and others believe that as well, especially Tony Khan. But I will tell you that I think AEW is very smart to lean into the fact that they needed to go to smaller venues, and that's it. I mean, because I've said this ad nauseum. When they would play or book the 15, 12,000 seat buildings for wrestling, it was half full. It sounded like garbage. The crowd sounded and felt dead, but even the music, it sounded like they were, rattling in a tin can. It was bad. So they went to smaller, more intimate venues, which a lot of these wrestlers and the boys and girls in professional wrestling all kind of broke in wrestling in front of these type of crowds, So I think it's good for AEW. It's good for business. They could spin it however they want, which I think is smart because that's what WWE does. That's what AEW does. But AEW has done better business in the smaller buildings, and they're understanding their market share more and more. And I think that's important. And I think Tony Khan doesn't care what a lot of people are going to think about him or his company going forward, because when you could draw 10,000 fans consistently, or let's pump it back a little bit, 7 to 10,000 and plus for pay-per-views, that shows that there's a heavy interest in your product. Now, is there heavy interest in your weekly television, live attendance wise? Maybe not. But this is what happens when another company is very, very hot, that being WWE. The other companies will, unfortunately, go through a period where people aren't going to their stuff, and they will also be on the downslide, which happens. It happens all the time in business and in professional wrestling. But AEW will continue to do this, and they're smart to do their residencies in the summer months and when the kids are going back to school in the early parts of September, because that's the hardest time to draw crowds and to get people out of their house. Go look at WWE, okay, before they got white hot. Go check the places they were running. Go check their attendance, all this other stuff. You'll see why AEW is taking this approach, and it's a smart one.
Absolutely, Drew. And a couple of points I wanted to make off that. Like Tony Khan, acquiring Ring of Honor a couple of years ago, Ring of Honor was kind of thriving on we got, 2,000 in this building, and you're not going to see a more passionate crowd, a more passionate, energetic show. And I think he should realize, hey, they did that, and now I felt like I missed it.
That's a great point, Juice. I'd rather have 3,000 passionate crowds, week after week after week, than now business wise, you want more. But if you got 5,000 people, 6,000 people, and they're sitting on their hands, whatever, that's not good. It's not good for television. So go to the smaller venues, pack them. It's a win-win. You sell out the place you booked, because that's always key, or get close to it, and you got a rabid fan base. And again, I know some people are going to be like, well, don't you want to sell the most tickets you possibly can? Sure, if you could do that, but you have to understand your market share. You have to understand your place in the market as well.
Right, and TV optics do matter. And,
for sure,
it's annoying, but people going on social media, and even if it's during the show, I'm not talking about the people that are ridiculous and do it right before the show where there's no one in the venue yet. If they show the hard cam, you can, it is still okay if the hard cam's showing 500 people. If it's a 2,500 venue, you have a bigger venue and you see layers upon layers of tarped off. That's where it can look really rough. You can kind of cut down on that as well with a smaller venue. There's less to quote tarp or what have you. And I wanted to add one more quick thing.
Yeah.
WCW cut out doing house shows, or they wanted to get rid of those. That was what their model was. And then they really were a TV business that did a lot on pay-per-view. And now AEW wants to, they have their weekly TV, but their bread and butter is on pay-per-view. So, smaller the crowds on TV.
They're the only professional
accentuate the best crowds for pay-per-view, and you got a good formula, I think.
Out of the major two, no, WWE is not doing, and New Japan's on there. I get it. They're not, in my opinion, the major two. It's AEW and WWE. WWE is not doing pay-per-view. So AEW is not only doing well ticket sales wise for pay-per-view, they're doing well for buy rates, because WWE is not doing that. So there's, and I think the pay-per-view model is dead, truthfully. I think AEW is going to get away from it eventually. But
it's on the way out, I would say. It's
I think
UFC
is moving away from it. WWE has moved away from it basically entirely. And I got crushed. I got absolutely crushed when I said that Google and YouTube TV was going to buy a streaming package for one of the major sports. And what did they do? They went out and got NFL Sunday Ticket. They didn't just buy one of them. They bought the one. Yeah. So again, I'm telling you, the devil is in the details. And if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make dollars. Pay-per-view is on the out. Trust me when I tell you.
Yeah, and it's pretty, it's been antiquated. WWE, has the network model since 2014. So, they were already trying to phase that out. And not really surprisingly, that's been the case across the board. They were kind of innovators there. UFC's kind of out on that. NFL, all these other things that aren't based on pay-per-view are doing streaming pay per. It's insane.
Right. And here's the thing, right? I don't know if I think this is pretty well known. The boys and girls are not getting a cut of the pay-per-views anymore. There's no residuals.
Yeah, that is
There's none from
antiquated.
There's none from AEW. There's none from WWE. Now, there might be an exception. I don't want to say none. Maybe some high-level talent have it into their contract with AEW. I would doubt it, but I don't believe, and I know this, I don't believe majority of the talent currently under an AEW contract is getting any sort of residuals. So
you don't think there's any sort of best match bonus, any sort of bonus type thing going on
that I don't know. I'll be honest with you and everybody else watching, because I always am, truthfully, but it's just something I say. I don't talk to any of the talent or vice presidents or producers or anything about money. I never have and I never will. You want to know why? Because it's none of my business. They don't ask me.
It's none of your business. Come on.
They don't ask me how much I make, and I don't ask how much they make. That's it.
Well, why would they ask you, Drew? You're on the books.
Right.
They know how much you make.
Right. But that's just, sex, religion, politics, and money. I just stay away from it. So
you stay away from sex?
Talking about that?
About,
Absolutely.
sure. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, you said you slipped in talking at the end there. I was kind of waiting, like, I don't know, Drew. What are you doing here?
I don't think that. I think that needs to go without being said. I mean, listen,
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have kids, so I had it at least twice, right?
I don't know. Cannot verify nor deny.
Right, exactly. No, but I mean, that's just, that's how I was brought up. You don't talk about sex, money, religion, or politics, and you just don't. And I'll be honest with you, you don't ever talk about it in business because that will get in the way.
Business. Yeah, we'll get in the way. It takes precedent. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I like what they're doing. I really do. And if I didn't, I would tell you, I love the venues. I really do. Your original question, I think that they look great. And to your point, you don't have to tarp stuff off. So again, understanding your market share is huge. And AEW has done that. They finally understand their place in the market. And they could always go back to the bigger buildings. I mean, there were times where they were drawing 7, 8, 9,000 consistently for television. Yeah. Those days seem gone, which is okay. Ebbs and flows. Ebbs and flows.
Right, wrestling's cyclical, and like I said with Ring of Honor, like if you can have a presentation of a WWE, like a bigger presentation, yet sell out 4,000, and that makes it look like a huge show of great magnitude, but only this intimate amount of people can see it, and it makes you want to go to those types of venues as a fan if it comes to your area. Or, has a residency, which they're doing in Philly and I really like that. And now Chicago, Pittsburgh could be one of those if they just listen to this show, but we'll see.
I'm not, again, no hate on Pittsburgh, but I will.
No, I know, Drew. I know. This is me as a fan. I get it.
But put your fan hat away. Go grab a different hat and put on your business hat. And
this is my business hat.
I ask you, do you think Pittsburgh or even Pennsylvania could show up and show out for, let's just say, 6 shows and have a residency?
Philly. You said
Philly, okay.
You should have stopped at Pittsburgh. Yes, Drew, I get it. Pittsburgh, no. I'm selfishly, purely talking as a fan. Of course, as a business model, no. But they still come here pretty regularly. Probably every 6 to 8 months they come here. And I think it's wonderful. I still think there's room for maybe a pay-per-view down the line. But, that's as far as I would go with it. I don't think the residency would make sense. A Chicago, a Texas, Philly, places that they go pretty frequently anyway, that's where you're going to see those types of things. And I understand that. I'm just being, annoying.
Well, I know everybody, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if New York would even be able to do a residency. I don't know if it'll happen. You could run the Manhattan Center. And you could run it like maybe 3 nights in a row, like a mini residency, like they did that one time.
When they do weekend of shows or like a Dynamite Collision pay-per-view type thing, yes. But residency, like straight up, I think where they've done it and where they're going to do it is where they should continue doing it. I think it's the best overall business plan to do something like that. Right. Speaking of business plans, so MJF, gets a yes. But what do you anticipate happening in this contract signing? You just think it's going to be a one-on-one with Bob at Double or Nothing to earn that spot?
I think there's something, because otherwise they don't need a contract signing. Like they would have just been like, you're in, and your first test will be at Double or Nothing against an unnamed opponent, and that would have been it, blah, blah, blah. I think something's coming during the contract signing, and it's a great hook for next week. It really is.
No pun intended. Hook will not be involved, I don't think.
I don't believe so. I don't think MJF took out Hook, so I don't think that would make any storyline sense, but you never know.
Anything can happen in the All Elite Wrestling.
Anything can and will happen in All Elite Wrestling.
That's absolutely right. Speaking of someone we hadn't seen on TV in a way like this in over 20 years, got his moment. Zach Gowen took on Ricochet in what was a pretty entertaining bout, yet Ricochet got the win. So I thought it was really cool to see Zach Gowen back in there. I mean, he had a hell of a unique run in WWE all those years ago with Lesnar and Vince McMahon and a lot of interesting stuff there. So to see him kind of back in the limelight, he's a motivational speaker now. He's always been a very inspirational guy in general, dealing with what he's dealt with. So good on AEW, good on Zach Gowen. And Ricochet, I think, is doing still some of the best heel work in the industry. let alone for AEW.
I did like the fact that, Ricochet did that in his hometown, that being Zach Gowen's. I think the match could have happened on Collision instead of waiting a week when Zach's not from Chicago, but maybe helped a tiny bit with ratings, I guess, and it gave Ricochet something to do. I like this match. I like the way Ricochet came off in this match. I think he's doing some of the best work of his career, but I will say that they could have done this on Collision while it was in Detroit. I think that would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah. Well, we are going to get a Mongo tribute, at least, on Collision, which I'm very much looking forward to.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I do want to mention, we have not talked about it yet, but unfortunately, past Sunday, Sabu passes away. That hit me like a ton of bricks and honestly hit everybody pretty hard. And I only saw, all the best, clips and memories of Sabu from all parts of the wrestling world, whether in the business, out of the business. I contributed some of that with my dad, who dressed up as Sabu for Halloween, and I was Spike Dudley, which was really cool. Because when it happened, I was actually over at my parents for Mother's Day. And I went through the photos and I knew we had something in there. And lo and behold, I found it. So just Sabu is, man, an innovator to the top degree. I mean, what you see in AEW, WWE, anywhere now does not get to the heights it does without a guy like Sabu. So, Drew, what are your thoughts on Sabu?
Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up watching ECW. I watched it on TNN and then I watched it on Channel 55 for all you New York people.
Yeah.
And it was really, really late at night, but, or in the morning, I should say. But Sabu was innovative. He really was. And there was a lot. I've had the pleasure of watching Sabu live. I want to say at least a dozen times, maybe half a dozen times. But he was, awesome. I remember the one night stand match with Rey Mysterio. I was just left like, I don't know what this guy won't do. And some of the stuff you just sitting there and you're like, whoa. And now, a lot of wrestling is very high flying and all that other stuff. And I think has said it best when he said, Sabu was Aura before Aura was cool.
Before Aura was Aura.
Aura, right. And it was like, that's basically what he was saying. Like before Aura was like a buzzword and it was cool, Sabu was that. And Sabu was, I know Tommy Dreamer's the innovator of violence, but Sabu was the innovator of these death-defying, like reckless abandonment for your body type of wrestling. And that was something to behold. And he got that to a certain extent, from his uncle, the Sheik, who was another madman. But at the end of the day, my thoughts and prayers are with the family. And I wish them the best. And Sabu will absolutely be missed in the wrestling industry because he left a lasting impression. And that's what you look to do when you get into this business. So
absolutely. I want to see if I can get this on here. You can see that?
I can. You do. Yeah. That's hysterical. That
and that's my little beach chair that my dad was holding. So very hardcore.
That's awesome. That's a good photo. Again, people love Sabu, man. I remember like talking to people when he came to WWE and they were just shocked that he was in WWE. And I think it opened up a whole new net of fans for him, which, the network and everything else like that, he'll live forever. And he's one of the ECW pillars in my eyes.
Oh, for sure. Like you just bringing up the word aura, he was just larger than life. Like he was, when you see him on screen, he's going to be the most unique thing you will probably see the entire night. Even he had a cup of coffee in WCW, yet he's going through tables in 95 and WCW, things that WCW was like, what the hell is this? Like
his uncle broke his leg in that match because he tried catching Sabu and somebody else and snapped his leg. Yeah.
And they even got a fireball spot off as well. And that's kind of was the end of the Sabu run in WCW, but just anywhere he went, falling off the R at the Manhattan Center, Raw, like him going, putting Cena through the announce table, built up on their match. The fact that Cena, was like, do it, man. Like he felt comfortable enough with Sabu to have that happen. I think tells you a lot about where Sabu is in the pantheon of pro wrestling respect.
it's very interesting to me that's a lot of people like don't like Sabu again, one of one. Somebody said that in here. I think it was Catherine Reed. Absolutely one of one. But what's funny to me is like people always give John a lot of shit, that being John Cena. But John knows how to do business, and John knows what to do when it comes to business. And he knew that Sabu had never been seen in this light and in this on this stage in a WWE audience, and he was like, "This is going to work, and this is cool as shit. Let's do it." And it did work.
It absolutely worked. Yeah. So, yeah, man, it was pretty crazy to have that kind of happen out of nowhere. But I know I've seen some people suggest potentially when they do the Philly residency for AEW, maybe there's some sort of tribute or something of that effect. I'm not sure. I think people just want to jump to do any sort of tribute when these types of things happen. But who knows? You know, AEW. I'm looking forward to their Philly residency above a lot of other things because they get to go to that arena for some interesting shows and that talk intimate venues. Let's get more intimate than that.
Yeah, I'll be at the 2300 shows, either one or two of them. I look forward to it. I've never seen wrestling in that building, so I'm going to be there. I will say. Again, I thought Taz summed it up perfectly, and I thought the tribute was great. Taz's words were special for his friend, and again, our thoughts and prayers are with the entire family.
Absolutely. We about done with the Dynamite portion. Is there anything else that we need to discuss? All right, so go ahead. You were going to say something?
No, I was going to say the only thing I do, I'm going to let you steer here, but
sure.
For me. I do want to talk about Backlash, but I do want to talk about the post-show press conference. John Cena did defeat Randy Orton in some schmazzy finish, and
that was the most Attitude Era finish I've seen in a very long time.
And Nick Aldis ate another RKO, which is very interesting. And then we saw at the press conference that John, FU'd Truth.
Yeah.
And I have no issue with it if we're going to get a match. But when I was watching that, I was left kind of like, what was this? And I get it could be, we're going to use this to build and all this other stuff. That's fine. But John could have taken some questions and then done it. But hey, whatever it is.
He said he wants to ruin wrestling, but he's ruining the press conferences too.
Because that's one of the worst parts of wrestling. But go ahead.
You said FU. Did you notice on commentary the STFU was referenced multiple times on commentary? Mm-hmm. So it looks like we might be on our way back. So that was interesting. And yeah, the match was it wasn't I tell you, it was definitely entertaining. Like you couldn't watch that and be like, I wasn't thoroughly entertained by that. It's just look at me. What is next? That's always my thing. So what's next?
And it's always funny because like you watch it and you're like, oh, all right. And then you sit back and everyone's always like, what's happening with John next? And it's like, well, let's let things marinate a minute here. But it seems to me like everyone's, fantasy booking John and Punk. But I think John's got to get through some stuff first. And I would not be surprised if we're going to fantasy book. I'm just going to give you a prediction. This is not me fantasy booking. This is a prediction. A lot of people are sitting back saying John's going to take on Punk at Money in the Bank. I don't see it.
I told you what I thought it was going to happen last week.
Oh, you said Perth.
Yes, I did.
Which is a very strong possibility. Sorry, we have some like helicopters flying around my house right now, and we live in the middle of nowhere. And we live in the middle of nowhere. But I will say that I think that John is going to have a major tag match or a 6-man match at Money in the Bank. I think SummerSlam might be your Punk match if it's not the Cody rematch. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think the 6-man tag match at Money in the Bank is going to involve some celebrities. And I do believe Travis Scott. Shout out to Travis Scott and Jumpman Jack. These are awesome. These are, oh boy, double promotion here. These are absolutely awesome. So I thank you for these.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got to get the Jordan logo in before I get in trouble. Where is this? There it is. So I think Travis Scott will be wrestling at Money in the Bank. I think Bad Bunny's wrestling at Money in the Bank. It's Los Angeles.
It's LA. It's the Intuit Dome. Which I'm hyped that we had all the cool, unique things for that first episode of Raw on Netflix. Now we get to see that place, that venue on a PLE capable thing. That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but we'll have to wait and see. But it seems like everybody is already booking John's next opponents, and I would just pump the brakes. I think you saw why I say that. I think you saw at Backlash that John at this point in his career could still put on a good match, no doubt about it. But it's not going to be what you saw with Cody or even Roman. John's a different type of cat, and he's also a different type of champion, especially as a heel.
Yeah, this is not your normal 2005 Cena that we
right
come to know and love. But what do you think happens at Saturday night's main event now that we can transition to that, where we've got Logan Paul, Jey Uso official?
We got the tag match announced, right?
And we got Sami Zayn, CM Punk versus Braun and Seth. But I do ask you this: who is the third man, Drew? I
don't think there is a third man. I don't think there's a third man in terms of like, is there going to be a 6-man tag at Saturday night's main event? I think the tag match is going to stay the tag match.
Oh, no. I mean, is Sami Zayn going to turn and become the third piece of the new Dangerous Alliance?
I mean, possibly. I've said it, and I'm just trying to put it into the universe and see what happens. But I'm gonna go with Becky Lynch.
Yeah, you brought that up. Yeah,
there's your man.
Get that frog ready.
Mm-hmm.
We all know how that works. But
yeah, so I mean, could Sammy turn? Sure.
I mean, yeah, why not? We're still not at the point where Punk's going to be a bad guy. We have not reached that level of his return to where he could be the bad guy just yet. Same with Cody. Well, Cody's been there for a few years now, but Punk only been there since, I want to say R-Truth potentially could team with Cena and Travis Scott. Three rappers on the same team?
Great question. I am going to go with... Man, I don't know. I'm not going to think about that one for a minute. I want to say Seth.
You think they're going to kind of join those stories too?
I think Braun's in the Money in the Bank. Okay. So I think that takes him out of having a tag match or whatever. They're going to do the tag match Saturday night's main event. And I think you get Scott, Cena, Rollins, Roman, Cody, Bed Bunny. And I think what happens is
it's almost like too loaded.
But I think Roman and Seth have a singles at SummerSlam.
Oh, just straight up.
Yes.
Does it have
Punk? I think Punk.
No stakes.
Right. And well, no, maybe Punk takes on Seth at SummerSlam, but I just don't see it.
How many times are they going to run that back before one of the two are champion again?
I think it's Seth. And again, this is, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I think Seth and Roman are on a collision course for a singles, and I think it happens at SummerSlam. So.
Okay. Interesting. What'd you think of the Jeff Cobb debut?
Another big bad son of a bitch who I think's got a bright future. It seems like New Japan is just getting absolutely raided.
It's crazy.
So, see ya. But I like Jeff Cobb. I think it lends instant credibility that he's aligned with the bloodline. A lot of people were dogging on it. A lot of people were dogging on, what happened with God. Why am I drawing a blank on his name right now? The guy who debuted last night. Gabe Kidd.
I was letting you marinate on that one because you couldn't remember his name earlier in the show.
No, I could. Gabe Kidd, they were dogging on that because he aligned himself with the Death Riders. Like, it's instant credibility. A lot of people are like, this guy's dead in the water already. Jeff Cobb with the Bloodline and Jacob Fatu and Solo. And now you got, it's just dumb. It's just, and Gabe Kidd with the Death Riders and whomever else, they're like, it's over with. It's not. Like, it's
been happening for 25 minutes. How could it be dead already?
Yeah.
That's what I don't get.
So
it's so quick to just shun everything.
Yeah.
It sucks.
This is a good question right here. How does Jacob Fatu get out of the bloodline? He's already out, in my opinion. I think he's just doing his thing, kind of like, I don't think there's going to be something where like Jimmy and Jay did, where Jay was like, I'm out and you're out too, and super kicks Roman or anything like that. I just think Jacob's going to do his own thing, Nah, I mean, what does he say? Got I mean, or whatever the hell he says. Whatever it is.
I'm not going to try to touch that one.
Yeah, but he does it way better than I do, obviously, and he's all gas, no brakes. And I think I think he's already out, truthfully. in terms of like solos group. I don't think you're ever out of the bloodline.
Man, I don't. No, you're right. When you're bloodline for life.
Right.
So, Backlash I thought was an interesting show. And now we've got Saturday night's main event. You got Battleground, Double or Nothing, all within 24 hours of each other.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Drew? If it rains that weekend, which I'm going to check because the weather could change because it's the weather. If it rains that weekend, then we're eating good. But if it's sunny, I'll probably miss Saturday night's main event, and I probably will just be able to catch Double or Nothing. But it's a lot of wrestling on a holiday weekend. It's smart. I thought WWE going to Tampa was smart. I enjoy having something to watch if for some reason there's nothing going on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. And my kids are young, so it's a little bit different for me. My kids are young, they're 7, and 9, so we're not out till 10, 11 o'clock at night, and me and my wife our party days are pretty much behind us. So we got kids. So I enjoy it because it's something to watch.
Who are you, Heath Slater?
Right. I enjoy it because it's something to watch unless it conflicts with the Bing Bang Knicks or, we got hockey Stanley Cup. Then it's a problem. But I don't think we're there yet with hockey. It's going to only be the Eastern and Western Conference Finals at that.
I was going to say, you act like the Islanders are playing in the playoffs.
Wow. I still love hockey. I love sports.
Hey, the Pens are. Drew, can't I just take a shot? Come on.
Take a shot whatever you want. You got to drive yourself home, pal.
I'm not taking shots if I'm driving.
Speaking of which, I'll see you in Dallas. We are headed to All In.
Hey, yes, we are. Yeah.
See you there. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Love that. What is it? 2 p.m. start time East. So what, 1 p.m.? Or is like.
We'll wake up, we'll have some breakfast, and then we'll ski-daddle to the arena.
Yeah. At a baseball field, too. That'll be interesting.
I've never been to Globe Life Field. No, I wanted to go for a baseball game.
Have you ever been to a baseball stadium for wrestling before?
Oh, yeah. I've been to the Diamondback Stadium for the Rumble.
Okay.
I was at Tampa for wrestling. The whatever the hell it was. What is it called? The
Tropicana
Field. I'm trying to think of another baseball stadium.
Host of the Thunderdome.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of another baseball stadium that has hosted wrestling that I've been to. I think that's it. There was a couple Royal Rumbles. I did not go to the one at Minute Maid Park.
I was gonna say, you ever been to Minute Maid? That's a pretty prominent one where they've had.
No, I've been to Safeco, but not for wrestling. That's Seattle. I don't know what they're calling it now, T-Mobile Park, or whatever the hell it is.
WrestleMania 19, and then Petco's getting what, Survivor Series, isn't it?
That's on my birthday, so I might be at that show if I can swing it.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. I've only seen a couple of TNA house shows 3 years in a row at a minor league baseball stadium, but
was that the
cool experience?
Global Force Wrestling stuff?
No, Base Brawl.
How was that?
Wonderful. Kurt Angle was still in his prime there. AJ Styles, Ken Anderson. It was that like 2012, 2013, 2014. So
peak Kurt Angle?
A little bit after his peak. I'd say his peak was like 2009.
Never mind. Kirk, you missed that one. Kirk does not like being called
Perk Angle. Yeah, but peak Angle is fine.
Yeah, that's why I said peak Angle.
Yeah, and I was agreeing that, maybe not around that time, but I wasn't you're not gonna bait me into saying Perk Angle, even though I said it already.
That's not what twice, number one. Number two, that's not what I was trying to do, but anyways, I digress.
Well, you set up softballs, and we're talking about baseball. You're throwing me off. Come on.
Right. I have a couple buddies who have been begging me to play softball.
I'd love to play some softball.
And I might just go back out and play. But this is not me like patting myself on the back, but I played baseball at a very high level. So softball, although very competitive, I get it. I used to just mash. So, and I haven't played in a while. So my buddies are like, and I've never played with this group of people. They're like, oh, you probably couldn't come out here and hit dingers. I was like, dude, I was like, give me a break. Give me a break.
You don't got to hit dingers. You just got to get on base. That's what
you look like a contact hitter.
Hey, I played baseball for 10 years, so I'm no stop.
I'm just breaking your balls.
I'm hitting balls.
Amen. God, there was a joke there. A lot of teams and a lot of leagues have caps on dingers, so it's interesting. Very interesting.
Oh well, I played a charity softball game, and we we put up 30 runs, and they were like, "All right, we got to stop the game."
Yeah, that's brutal. Mercy rule.
Uh,
All right,
so,
what else you got, buddy?
let's see. I got a couple more items, and then we're almost to a point if you want to hit rapid fire, but it's all up to you, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, we could do rapid fire, and then we could do some questions from the live audience.
Yeah. Okay, and these are generally rapid fire, but if you have a little bit more, we got a little bit of time that we can bring forth with it whatever you want. Still unconfirmed. We still don't know what the hell's going on yet. Now it seems more leaning towards a date than not. Evolution 2, July 13th. Is this happening, Drew? And if so, does WWE just love watching AEW plan out their calendar? Oh, July 12th. Bing!
So bing bang. I don't think this was the plan originally. If they were going to do an Evolution, to have it the same weekend as Saturday night's main event that is going to take place
July 4th weekend. That's what.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I'll be honest with you, just like I was on social media, I have not heard a thing about this show. Now, I know some prominent accounts have talked about it, but at the end of the day, when you don't hear things from people in the know, I start to worry and question. Now, again, the people I talk to and the people that speak to me have never mentioned this pay-per-view, and they would know. So, or this PLE, and they would know. But maybe that's because it's very tight-lipped. I don't know. So I'm going to wait, before jumping to a conclusion. Do I think that the July 12th, or the 13th works?
Yeah, 13th, yeah.
It works because they're already there and it makes sense. Do I think this is no shot at the ladies, because the ladies, women's wrestling at times, even the storylines are much better than some of the shit we see with the men. And a lot of the women outdraw the men in terms of merchandise and everything else like that. I don't know during the MLB All-Star weekend if you're going to be able to draw 18,000 2 nights in a row. I think that's a tall ask for the women to have the pay-per-view at the State Farm Arena that they're going to do Saturday night's main event. Now, could they do it at a smaller venue? Could they draw 8,000? Yeah, they absolutely could. No doubt about it. But it's a tall ask, especially during, an MLB All-Star weekend that's taking place in Atlanta. Now, I know it's not in Atlanta. It's in the suburb. But again, there's a lot of stuff going on that weekend and week. So I don't know. I really don't know.
And I wanted to pose this to you. This is kind of like a personal question, because I saw something in my realm, and I thought it might relate to this. So Monday Night Raw is coming to Pittsburgh June 30th, right? Mm-hmm. And to my knowledge, unless you can look it up and see it, up until this date, I have not seen anything for the following weekend's shows, that July 4th weekend, whether it be a SmackDown or what have you. Mm-hmm. There were emails sent out that Raw was going to have a earlier start time than normal, upwards of 5:30 p.m. And I had people asking me, does that mean, are they going to tape a SmackDown here because Friday is July 4th? And then, I'm thinking, well, Evolution was rumored for that weekend. What are they doing? Maybe they just didn't announce it yet, where you get a SmackDown, Raw, and Evolution in the same weekend. They haven't announced it. So what is your opinion on the July 4th weekend? I don't think there's anything announced for any show in general.
I mean, PPG is open that weekend. I know that because I do business with them. PPG Paints Arena. The 5:30 start time, I want to say that's probably doors. But if it is a start time at 5:30, I don't think Netflix would want that early of a start time, truthfully.
No.
Because 5:30 on the East is 4:30 here, and then it's what, like 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it. But I mean, you never know. It also could be just a misprint. If they are going to tape something beforehand, okay. It's not going to be Evolution, though.
No, and I wasn't saying it was going to be. I was just saying that without the knowledge of them announcing Evolution, could that still be that July 4th weekend? Like, it's open, and I didn't know what could be.
And to your point, SmackDown has not been announced. I think they're in Nashville, July 11th, and there's no.
Yeah, so that's what I'm getting. I don't know what that weekend entails at all, if anything. But I mean, they got to have a SmackDown and Raw, and I don't think it's a misprint.
Now,
because we received an email like this was a week and a half ago.
Okay.
So
well, I mean, without divulging too much information, I
Sure.
think a SmackDown is very likely more than a Evolution PLE. You could tape SmackDown before Raw. So
yeah. I'm not suggesting that they would tape Evolution in Pittsburgh. I'm saying that would that weekend lend itself to a taped SmackDown? And I had suggested maybe that weekend was Evolution and they were doing one of those combo weekends and they just hadn't announced it yet.
I think it's very likely without, again, because WWE does not like other people announcing things before they do.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, if you look at the calendar, so again, I'm going to say it's very likely that something is going to happen. They are in Saudi Arabia the previous Friday and Saturday for SmackDown and Night of Champions. Then they come back for Monday Night Raw in Pittsburgh. So it's very easy to tape a SmackDown before Raw and then give the men and women who not only worked Friday, Saturday, and now Monday
and flew all that way.
Right. So it makes a lot of sense for that to happen. See what happens.
Now we're getting some answers. That's all I was looking for, was maybe some, somewhere. There's answers in the weeds somewhere.
Yeah. Well, they're in right. They're, so I mean, they're going to be in
Riyadh.
Saudi Arabia. Yeah. They're going to be in, no, they're not, that's not what I was trying to say, Juice. They're going to be riding, the whole, like, oh God, if they don't, they're not going to double tape in Saudi Arabia. So they're going to either do it in Pittsburgh and they're going to ride that train, or they're going to have to announce a venue very, very shortly.
That's what I'm saying. Time is running out for them to have anything during that weekend. So I felt it was an interesting tip of the hand if they meant that by sending that email.
Yeah. And Riyadh, Saudi Arabia is, I don't know how many hours ahead.
A lot.
Yeah. So I don't know off the top of my head. So I think Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense.
Speaking of Saudi Arabia, it looked like we could have CM Punk at Night of Champions based on the video packages up until literally today. And the video package has now Punk not in there and Seth Rollins is in there. And also in between all that, Punk was asked, I think in an Instagram live thing about Saudi Arabia. And he says, "I don't hate it. I've never been there." So I think they're referencing a tweet from years ago, and I think that was more a response from Punk in the same realm as, I'm just not going to support certain things. But we are here now.
Is Punk going to be able to get out of going to Riyadh and Jeddah all the time? No. I think there will come a time and place where he has to go.
Rumble.
Right, exactly. And that's in Jeddah, right? So that's going to happen. But I think for now, CM Punk is going to, there's a reason why they put Money in the Bank before Night of Champions this year. So, and it's not during the 4th of July weekend. So I'm going to say that CM Punk will not be in Riyadh and he will not be in Jeddah until the Royal Rumble, if they do happen to have another event, which they're not going to.
And to be fair, Punk never was going to probably be at Night of Champions unless he was a champion, because it's an all champions show.
And for the most part, it's going to be SmackDown heavy. So there'll be a couple Raw people there, but it's going to be SmackDown heavy. So again, they need to ride that week in Riyadh and then get to Pittsburgh, and then they're going to want to shut it down for a little bit. So
Which I like, yeah. We get the last little bit, last little, the squeeze of the juice before we're on a little vacay.
He has to get that juice reference in there.
I could have got a junk reference in there, but
no, I like the juice reference. I thought it was good. All right, what else you
got? Quick, right now, who's your pick for Money in the Bank, men and women? Just who would you pick to win?
Braun Breaker and Bailey.
Okay. I like Braun. Again, without knowledge, I would say I'd like to see Karrion Kross and Roxanne Perez.
I like Roxanne Perez. Don't rule out Julia or Stephanie Vacour either. So
it's so loaded. And I did see that Kross put out that they're going to start selling his merch at merch stands at arenas, with how he's gotten kind of more over in the last couple of weeks. So
more
power to him.
I saw that, and I have a ton of respect for Karrion, and I just can't. People have asked me, can you comment on this? I don't have that information yet, but I don't think Karrion's lying. So
I don't think he would need a reason to lie, especially at this point where he kind of aired things out publicly.
And truthfully, he would look like an absolute jackass if he says it online and then goes backstage and people are like, "Hey, dude, like, what are you doing?" I'm working him. It's like, nah, you're not working anybody. You're making yourself look. Yeah. So no way. I think it's very real, and I think it's good for Karrion Kross, but I haven't commented on it because I don't have anything in front of me. So,
all right, a couple more things. Sure. Over the last couple of days, we saw an interview with Matt Cardona and Chris Van Vliet, both two wonderful guys. Yeah. Cardona says he's pretty surprised that he has not re-signed yet with WWE, based on, he's been working his way back, like just on the indies. He's one of the top indie guys, if not the top indie guy. He is the indie god. And it's not that he's saying, I want to be in WWE, but he's almost like, well, why haven't they reached out? Why hasn't anything even
Cardona's saying this?
That was in the interview. Yes. He said he was kind of surprised that nothing's even kind of come to fruition. And that's not to say, Chelsea Green, his wife, is doing wonders in WWE. Now, of course, they're separate entities, but you would see where a correlation from a fan's perspective could be.
Sure.
I ask you, are you surprised he's not there yet? Or is it going to happen and they're just kind of dancing around it?
I think it's going to happen. Am I surprised? No, but I do think this version of Matt Cardona makes a lot of sense in the current landscape of WWE.
Yes.
But where? And a lot of people have sat back and said, you asked the third man. Cardona fits there too, and he could absolutely use that with Breakker and Rollins. But
sure,
I think this iteration of Matt Cardona is tailor fit for WWE. It's all a matter of when. It's not if for me, it's when.
I agree, and this is not a knock, but WWE has a lot of guys in their slots right now. Like, they don't really need to tap into anybody. I mean, I say that, and they just got Jeff Cobb, and they're always adding people, but they don't, necessarily need to do that yet. And maybe you have how many different Royal Rumble opportunities? There's plenty of different ways to incorporate someone coming back or coming into the company. And I agree with you. I think Matt Cardona, as he is now, especially if they lean into the Zack Ryder is dead, aesthetic that he puts out there, you could really make that a part of his character. And
maybe they're holding back because a lot of people are still going to call him Zack Ryder, but I think we could move past that. And I think Zack Ryder is dead, and I think Matt Cardona works perfectly in this version of WWE. So we'll see.
Yep. A couple more. Mercedes Moné loses the New Japan Strong title, but she didn't even get pinned.
They kept her strong, which was smart. They kept her strong, which was smart, and they needed to get some of these championships off of her. I'm all for it. I believe she might be getting another belt to come All In. So we'll have to wait and see.
Oh, you love the belts on Monet. But Mina took the pin, and it was what it was. But I felt it was just funny. Like, she didn't even take the pin.
No.
She's untouchable right now. She's more.
Forcing you to feel it.
Yeah, that was a little forced, but it was good. It was good. I appreciate it. Because I wanted to say it, but I let you take the reins there. But shout out to Jim Ross. He tweeted out that he unfortunately got diagnosed with colon cancer recently, going in for surgery. Our thoughts are with him. Jim's a great guy, legendary announcer. I had the pleasure of meeting him, probably 8 years ago now, but wonderful guy. Drew, you would attest to that as well.
Jim's a great dude, and somebody who has done wonders for the business, not only behind the microphone, but in a backstage capacity with talent and everything else like that. And I wish Jim the best. His health is most important, so take care. Prayers for you and your family, and Godspeed. And hopefully you beat cancer.
Boomer sooner, baby. One last thing, and you knew I had to bring it up. The schedule for the NFL is released. Drew, week 1. Jets.
Raji coming back to MetLife.
Jets. Or maybe. We don't know yet. It's still up in the air. Until it happens, I can't believe it. Jets, Steelers, either way, Justin Fields' revenge game, and I kind of hope he balls out against the Steelers because I think the Steelers should have kept him. So,
Well, it's a double revenge game. It's almost like double jeopardy here.
if Rodgers is there, yes, but I'm only going on what is actually announced. Card subject
Juice,
to change.
if my aunt had wheels, she'd be a bicycle. What are we talking about here? He's going to be a Steeler, my boy.
Okay,
it's
sure.
over. It's done.
I look, you're acting like I don't want it to happen, but until
Raji,
it happens, I'm not going to say it. Here, yeah,
Aaron,
I'm sure he watches this show.
I know you're not going to see this, Raji, but strap your shit in tight because you in for a wild ride when you come back to that MetLife turf. I can promise you that.
It's going to be 4 nights of complete darkness.
He'll probably come back to MetLife and throw for like 306 touchdowns. Who knows?
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. But I mean, dude, the NFL takes over a schedule release show. I mean, it was everywhere.
And they told you everything you needed to know if Rodgers is going to play in Pittsburgh or not. The Jets can open with anybody.
Yeah, the NFL schedule makers said, though, we did this without knowledge of it. However, I would say that maybe not the knowledge of it, but they're assuming if he does show up, we don't know how many games this could take before he potentially gets injured. It took him 4 plays 2 years ago. So let's get the Jets game out there first. Packers game week 8 if he can make it till then. And that'd be Sunday night in Pittsburgh with new throwback uniforms for the Steelers. So I'd be hyped to see that as well.
There you go. All right.
But looking forward to the fall already. We're not even into summer. So can't wait for the
Commanders
NFL.
Are legit. Yeah, I can't wait for the NFL either.
Yeah.
Very excited for it. Should be a good one.
Yeah.
Sean said, I'm surprised no one said Naomi for Money in the Bank. Maybe.
I see a lot of people thinking that's almost like it's going to be her or the field. So that could be something, but until I see it, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Again, very good show. I appreciate all of you for joining us. Juice, or anything you want to say before we go? You know what? I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
2 of them, and then we're getting out of here.
2.
Favorite Sabu match, because I'm going to hop over and check out Taz and RVD. They're going to do a live show together, so make sure you guys check that out. I'm going to eat the rest of my dinner, too. But favorite Sabu match, and I will ask you, what record do you think the Steelers will end up with Rodgers?
Okay, Sabu match. Man, it's tough. Honorable mention, I will just say the Rey Mysterio one night stand match. I think you got to go out of your way to watch that. But as just look, AEW, I know. Let's see it. Andrew Credential. That's what they call him.
There you go. One night stand. I'll leave it up.
That, but I'm a sicko, AEW, ECW, whatever. I'm here for Terry Funk, Sabu, Born to be Wired. That match changed so much. You don't see anything that you've seen in AEW up to this point. Pizza cutter, thumbtacks, syringes. You see none of that. If Born to be Wired does not happen, those guys were literally tangled and shoot barbed wire. It was gruesome. It was brutal. I remember them showing commercials for that, for the tape of that. And it was like slowed down and they had dramatic music. And I believe it was
brilliance of Paul Heyman on that one.
Right. And it was I also remember the videotape commercial for Extreme Warfare Volume 2 with Kimono One Alea dancing atop the ECW arena. And for the Steelers, thank you. For the Steelers, it's not that I think there's going to be a tie, but I could see 8-1. But more than likely, I'm going 8-9.
Okay.
Because I say 8-1 purely because there's 2 things. Tomlin has not had a losing season yet, and that's an annoying stat because regardless, they've been non-competitive in the last 6 playoff games they've been in. Outscored 73-0 in those last 6 playoff games in the first quarter. And the last time, and this is with or without Rodgers, a combination of him and Rudolph, what have you. Last time the Steelers played Detroit, it was, albeit in Pittsburgh, it was a tie in overtime. And they're playing Detroit, and that was with Mason Rudolph. And I'm not saying they'll tie Detroit this year, but Rudolph's the quarterback again. I think there's going to be a weird game, maybe even against Cleveland. They could tie. The losing season stays away 8-1, but more than likely, I'm going to go 8-9.
All right, I like it. I think Rodgers is going to shock a lot of people. I think he's going to have a good year with Pittsburgh.
I'd like to see it.
Those injuries are tough to come back from, especially in Achilles, and you need more than just, a year and then some games. I think Rodgers is going to be good. I'm at Andrew Baydala right there on X. He's at Juice E. Steen. He's Juice Springsteen. This is Drew and Juice, episode 16 in the books. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We had over 300 people live, which is good. Go ahead and check out Sabu and Taz and RVD. They're going to be honoring their friend, a whole show on Sabu. Go check that out. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We look forward to doing this week after week. Next week, we'll have our Double or Nothing prediction show.
Hell yeah.
And we'll have some other things. Looking forward to it.
Saturday night's main event, Battleground. We have a lot to talk about next week.
That's right. And I always look forward to doing these. Juice,
Yep.
You want to say a little something into the camera?
At Juicy Steen on Twitter. You know me. Always plugging, always grinding.
I gave you a Tommy Boy reference and you didn't even hit it out of the park. A little something in the camera. You want to say a little something into the camera? A little something into the camera. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much.
That was Drew and Juice. A special collaboration between Final Bell Media and the Juice Box. Make sure to listen to Drew and Juice wherever you listen to podcasts.